that was altered my life, changed it for the better, I should say. Changed the way I look at things, changed the way I feel, changed the way I am. Changed me so much that I felt compelled I had to research about it and talk to you about it tonight. 6 months ago, I walked into a room about this size with maybe about this similar number of people in it. And as soon as I walked in, I felt like this surge of nerves, something I've never felt before. I walked in and I felt really nervous and uptight, and I couldn't work out what on earth was going on. Before I knew it, my heart was absolutely racing. It was beating out of my chest. It felt like it was going to explode. I was hyperventilating to the point where I was sucking air in, and I was like, I didn't know what was going on. I thought I was having a heart attack. And then I was drenched in sweat. I was sitting there, I was just covered in it. It was like dripping off my forehead. My clothes were just absolutely soaked. Yet I was shivering cold. It was like I had a fever. It got so bad that I felt the room constricting in on me, and I felt I just had to get out of there. I got up out of the room and ran out, past everyone, in front of everyone, down the stairs, out to the footpath, basically ended up on my hands and knees and threw up. And as I was lying there on the pavement looking at this morning's breakfast, I realised I had just had my first ever panic attack. My body had gone into beast mode. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our lovely guest here tonight. Tonight I want to talk to you about beast mode. I want to talk a little bit more about what happened to me, because as I was lying there, I thought, this has never happened before. What on earth actually happened? Beast mode is what I called it, but to everyone else, it's fight or flight syndrome. And believe it or not, 75% of people get that feeling when they're doing public speaking. It may not be as extreme as what mine was, but they get something like that. My only problem is the room that I was walking into wasn't a room to do public speaking or anything. It was, and I'm not lying, it was a yoga class. And that's when I looked at it, when I realised what was the parallels between public speaking and yoga. I mean, when you said that you enjoy yoga as a hobby, I just thought, oh my God, how could you like that? But it's one of those fears that is actually, to all of us, it's inherently the same. You don't like being the centre of attention. I felt like everyone was looking at me. I felt like they were all judging me. And that's what people, when they do have a fear of public speaking, that's what they feel like. They don't like people looking at them. They get worried that they're going to make a mistake and people are going to laugh at them. They just want to crawl into a crack, exactly like what I felt. So, what is this fight or flight? What is this beast mode that comes over us when we get like this? Essentially, it's our body's hormonal response to a threat. Now, back in the day when we were cavemen, it was a saber-toothed tiger. These days, the threats are if we come inside, there's an intruder in our home. But unfortunately, it's got to the point where it's not a threat, it's a perceived threat, not to our physical well-being, but to our dignity. Public speakers, they don't want to look silly in front of a group of people. I don't want to look like an idiot in front of a bunch of girls in tight yoga pants. You know what I mean? Like, it's all relative. So what actually happened to me though? Well, what actually happened to me when I was in that class? So the reason my heart was beating so fast is because my body had gone into beast mode. It was pumping blood to all of my muscles. I was hyperventilating because I needed to suck in as much oxygen as possible to send it to my heart, to get out to all of my muscles. The reason I started sweating was because if someone was trying to catch me, it makes me harder to catch. It means I can slip away from them. I'm actually slippery. And the reason I was cold is because my blood vessels had constricted to send all the blood, not to where it needs to be at my skin, but to my major muscles in my legs, chest and back, if I needed to fight or flight. The reason I spewed up when I got onto the pavement is because my digestive system had literally shut down. It had ceased to function because at that time, I needed to conserve all my energy to either fighting these girls in the yoga pants or escaping them. It's just so embarrassing. I don't know why I'm telling you guys this. So, that there is what happens when we go into beast mode. Now, whatever reason we go into beast mode, it doesn't matter these days. But what does matter is that there is a way through it. Now, I need to go to yoga. It sounds silly, but I've played rugby all my life. I've lifted weights since I was 16 years old. My body is a bit of a wreck. I'm 29 years old going on 60, and yoga's the only thing that's going to get me through to be a grandfather playing with our grandkids. So how am I going about getting over my fight or flight, getting over this beast mode so I can go back to yoga one day. And I've come to the realization that there are two things that we need to do. And whether it's me trying to overcome girls in yoga pants to start doing yoga, whether it's someone who has a fear of public speaking, it doesn't matter. These two things are common amongst it all. And that's practice, 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 and more practice. But most importantly, it's finding an auspicious environment or a conducive environment to allow you to practice. You think of any sportsman or sports lady for that instance. They all have top flight training facilities to allow them to practice, don't they? Any top flight businessman has a business mentor that gets them to where they want to go. So what then are going to be what is my practice and what is going to be my conducive environment? So I'm practicing yoga at home. My conducive environment is my lounge. I'm not surrounded by women in yoga pants. I'm not surrounded by anyone looking at me. I'm there by myself. I feel comfortable and I feel confident that I can go step by step and slowly build up my confidence until I get to the point when I go back to that next yoga class. I won't feel like everyone's looking at me. When if I do, I won't mind it. I'll like the attention because there's a whole bunch of ladies. Most importantly though, my body won't go into beast mode because I will know what to do. I'll know how to react. But ladies and gentlemen, what's most important is anyone that has a fear of public speaking, anyone that feels like they couldn't get up here and talk in front of you all tonight. For you guys, it's exactly the same. It's practice, 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 and finding a conducive environment. Now, the practicing part is easy. Everyone can practice a speech. But finding that conducive environment is hard. For some people, it's almost impossible. I can't talk in front of my fiancée. She's never seen me speak. I just can't do it. It's not my conducive environment. My conducive environment is Toastmasters. Now, in here, you get something that is encouraging, something that helps you, something that guides you, and most importantly, it's not something that's threatening. So when you get up and stand up here, your body doesn't go into beast mode. Your body doesn't feel threatened. And slowly but surely, like me learning how to do a yoga, learning how to do a down dog and looking like a twit in my living room, you guys can get up here and you can slowly progress yourself to the point where you feel comfortable, where you feel that you know you won't go into beast mode. Because as I've described earlier, it's always at the very worst times it does, and Toastmasters is a way to oversure it doesn't happen again. Thank you very much.